Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I have an important message for you all. There's a very important topic that we need to discuss here. And the repercussions of these events could be life-shattering, earth-shattering, some may say. It's a very important conversation that needs to be had. Because I think us, as human beings, have forgotten the importance of the simple things in life. And honestly, of all those simple things you could forget, it's amazing that this one particular thing has been ignored for so long. I'm of course talking about the importance of maid outfits. Maid outfits have been around for so many years, and they have done so much to improve the culture of our society. In Japan, we've gotten otaku to start working out again by having maid gyms, where your maid of choice comes to cheer you on as you build muscle and become a stronger human being. And yet all these maids, even in the cafes as they serve us food, have been neglected. Or just the traditional maid who comes in your house and cleans for you. They've been neglected. How could we have done such a terrible thing? But we end that today, damn it. We shall no longer keep our maids under our feet. They deserve all the love and attention that we can give them. And we will give them all the love and attention they deserve. So today, we're reviewing Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Now, this is probably one of the weirder shows to review because of its kind of non-premise. The general premise we currently have is that Miss Kobayashi is just a grown woman working an everyday business job, living her life. And even though it's never explicitly said or she explicitly notices, it's kind of implied that she's kind of just living day by day. There's no real excitement. There's no real effort. She's just kind of going with the flow of things and seeing where shit happens. Anywho, after a particular crazy office party where she gets drunk, she ends up wandering out into the fucking mountains above her city and runs into a fucking dragon, dying. I know it doesn't make any fucking sense, but that's what it is. She runs into a dragon. And I'm not talking like the dragon girl that you see on all the art. I'm talking about it looks like a real goddamn dragon. It's sitting there with some sort of sword stuck in its back, bleeding out, dying. And for some reason, she's not really confused or scared because, hey, she's drunk, so fucking anything could be an illusion. She could just be dreaming. So she walks over, and for some weird reason, she's able to pull this giant fucking sword out of the dragon's back and save its life. And then proceeds to have a very long in-depth conversation with the dragon about various things, finding out the dragon can transform into a human version, or a pseudo-human version, which is the dragon girl you see. And she wants to discuss her love of maids, because maids are the greatest thing in the world. And goddamn it, Kobayashi, you have great taste! But with all this conversation, you can kind of tell that the dragon herself, who's named Toru, kind of doesn't really, is kind of in the same mindset where she was okay with dying. She was perfectly cool with it. She appreciates being saved, but she's kind of doing her own thing too. Ironically enough, you could say they're pretty similar. So, what does Kobayashi suggest? You should come live with me and be my maid. So the next day, that's what she does. She gets a maid outfit and she comes to live with her to be her maid. Although Kobayashi doesn't remember this initially, and is very confused to see this girl in a maid outfit with a dragon tail and horns show up at her doorstep talking about, I'm here to be your maid. So it takes a little while, she remembers, and now Miss Kobayashi has a dragon maid, hence the title of the series. And that's really the only main plot point in the series. That's it. This show kind of doesn't, I mean, it's literally a slice of life show with a little bit of fan service and some pretty good and consistent animation. At some points, fucking amazing animation. But the show has no real purpose. And it's weird because of that. I don't really want to talk about the episodes. I will say it's very comedy oriented, and it has a lot of Yuri on undertones. So if you're not a fan of Yuri, which for those who don't know, Yuri is pretty much a lesbian. There's a lot of lesbian undertones. It's not like every character is a lesbian, but there are definitely some lesbian undertones between Toru and Kobayashi and a few other characters, but that's kind of irrelevant. But I just want you to know, because I know some people aren't cool with that shit, kind of like how people aren't cool with yaoi. So it's, although I don't think it's like overbearing and it takes away from the show, if you are not comfortable with those type of themes, just know that is in the show and it is pretty consistent. I probably would say the one thing that kind of draws me to Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, and the reason why I think the show is appealing and you should just give it a shot, is because it kind of hits that interesting middle ground of, it's slice of life, but it kind of hits this particular feeling. To give you an example, one of the other plot points in the show is that she's the first dragon, because dragons don't interact with humans. Hell, most people don't even know about magical fucking dragons who live in the world. And apparently, and as you'll see later in the show, apparently dragons have like this weird cloaking thing where they can be literally invisible to a human eye. So obviously they don't interact much. And it's not like the show's about bringing dragons and humans together. You could think that, but I don't think that's the point of the show. But by Toru's coming and staying with Kobayashi and living in her human hybrid form, it kind of attracts other dragons to start interacting with humans due to Toru being there. And it creates this interesting dynamic where you find out the core of what the show really is about is that sometimes it's kind of, I don't know, you may know these, you may have a person like this in your life, but to use an example, you have people who are like nomads, people who don't want to stay in the same place more than like a few days or maybe like a month or so because they don't want to get tied down. Sometimes the world you live in is not actually the world you live in the sense that you may have lived in the same city and town your whole life, but you don't really know the outside world. And maybe you're just kind of done with your city or town. Or in Toru's case, maybe she's just done with the dragon realm. So living with a human, although isn't really interesting by itself from like a objective perspective, it's something different that she's not used to. It's getting, because it's still doing the whole fish out of water concept where she doesn't understand human things, and so she's being taught that, and that's where a lot of the comedy comes from. But it's also just kind of having that different type of connection. It's kind of like when you go to a different country and you interact with a different race of people, you're not used to those customs. And part of the interest and fun of living there is just learning a whole different way of living and learning their different types of philosophies. Because some of it's just having that conversation. For some people, having that conversation and talking to another individual or living with another individual or creating or being able to have that coexistence with another individual from a completely different walk of life is its own type of joy. And obviously with the lesbian undertones, there's some romantic interest stuff in there too. And then there are some things that humans do that dragons don't do. I mean, for all we know, we're told in the story that Toru is a chaos dragon, so technically she's considered an evil dragon. So to get an evil dragon to coexist with a human and be interested and want to coexist with a human is already kind of a trip in itself, which is kind of what boggles some of the other dragons' minds. It's like, why would you want to do that? And then those dragons start seeing and they're like, what's so special? Why is this a thing? And then they end up going out and growing and changing themselves and having their own relationships with humans. And they're just kind of, and it's that difference. It's that feeling of change. And it's that interaction with something you're not familiar with. And for some people, that's what it is. Some people don't want to be stuck in the same lane all the time. So they're constantly trying to put themselves in new experiences to get a better understanding of who they are. Because as you're exposed to more and different types of people, you yourself become more firm and confident in the person that you are. Or you are introduced to new things that make you want to change. It's a weird give and take relationship. But I think both parties end up growing from it. Because as you go through the show, you notice that most people are starting to notice how she's more brighter or more just energized or something. And Toru, it's the same thing. It's like, you're not the same as you were. And all you're doing is living here, folding up clothes and making dinner, like basic human shit. Why the fuck is this doing it to you? What is it about this interaction that's causing the change? And it's kind of interesting to see that. But I mean, the core of the episodes are literally just basic day-to-day shit. There's nothing super fantastical. The only fantastical aspect is how a dragon girl who has really no concept of social norms is handling the situation. And that's not even like the gag for the majority of the show. Obviously, it's a thing that'll keep coming back and forth because of new things introduced to her. But like, it's weird that that is what's entertaining about it. It's just seeing that difference in connection and difference in the two beings living, and just watching that coexistence happen. I don't know. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is one of those weird shows that, like, if someone asked you what's the coolest thing about it, the fact, I don't know, that Toru wants to constantly feed Kobayashi her tail because it's like some type of sex thing or something. The show has such consistent animation, and some of the action sequences, and the show does have action sequences, the shit looks absolutely fucking beautiful. The music is good. I think it's just a generally entertaining show. Guess what, folks? It has a dub! I personally prefer the Japanese version, but that's just because I don't like the direction. Not because the dub is inherently bad in terms of the voice acting. I just don't like the voice direction for certain characters. That's just me personally. But I think it's totally worth the time to watch. And it's one of those shows that as you continue to watch it, it's like, huh. There's nothing really going... Like, it's weird. It'll literally be one of those shows you kind of come out and goes, I like that show. But you'll never be able to, like, fully express why you like the show. Unless you're like, oh, look at the cute scene between Toru and Kobayashi. Oh, look how cool that action sequence was when she shot a fucking laser out of her mouth. Or, look at how funny it was that she was amazed by bending fucking spoons. Like, it'll be those things, but for me, I think that's what I got out of it. Was just that interaction. And just seeing two people kind of come to terms and come together and grow. And not by doing anything super fantastical, not by trying to join dragons and humans together so we all hold hands and it's kumbaya. Just, let's live together. Let me be your maid, please. So, please leave your thoughts and comments about the show in the comment section below. Why do you like it? Why do you dislike it? Do you want a dragon maid yourself? Yes is always the answer. Or do you want your girlfriend to cosplay as one? Yes is always the fucking answer. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Life's a game. Play to win. And I will catch you guys later. Peace. Oh.